Today we're gonna dive into something that might actually give you a glimmer of hope if you've been recently dumped. Dumper's remorse. Now before you get too excited, okay, let me be very clear. Your ex feeling remorse does not guarantee they're gonna come crawling back or whatever. But understanding what they're likely experiencing, it might help you avoid some catastrophic mistakes that could forever kill your chances of mending your relationship. So what exactly is dumper's remorse? Put simply, it is the residue of love. Is that gnawing feeling your ex gets when they break up with you, but later start questioning their decision. Now, unlike typical emotions like anger or sadness that hit immediately after a breakup, dumper's remorse does not present itself instantly. Instead, it kind of slithers into your ex's conscious awareness gradually, unfolding in stages that follow a somewhat predictable pattern. So let's break down these stages and what is likely, but not definitely, going on in your ex's head during each one. Stage number 1 is certainty. So initially, your ex is gonna feel rock solid about their decision to dump you. Again, this is a generalization. Not all exes will feel like this, not all exes will go through these stages, but based on my experience from helping people with this stuff for like 5+ years now, this is the pattern that normally occurs. So, your ex, they have probably been contemplating this breakup for weeks, maybe even a few months, before they actually pulled the trigger. So by the time they actually broke things off with you, they had mentally checked out and processed a lot of grief already. That's why this first stage is characterized by so much certainty about your ex's decision. So there are several factors that influence how certain your ex is gonna feel. These factors include whether this relationship was a short or a long-term one, whether you were together with your ex for like a few months or maybe a few years. Now, the certainty is also dependent upon relationship quality. So if you cheated, maybe you lied a lot, or maybe the relationship was otherwise toxic, maybe you had incompatible values with your ex. If any of that is the case, their certainty to break up with you will obviously be reinforced. And on the flip side, it probably won't be. And then, of course, there's breakup behavior. So if you've been blowing up their phone after the breakup, if you kept showing up unannounced at their doorstep, if you kept begging and pleading with them for another chance, if you just simply kept chasing after them, you're only cementing that certainty that they probably feel. Whereas if you respected their decision to break up with you, if you've given them space as they asked or at least subcommunicated, in that case, you're probably not adding fuel to their certainty, to their conviction. And finally, there's also your perspective maturity levels. If you're a slacker with nothing going on for you, it's way easier for your ex to feel certain about leaving. And if you're an independent, resilient person with goals and ambitions and who simply has an interesting life, obviously, their certainty might be a bit shakier. Now let's move on to stage number 2, the relief stage. Now, regardless of what happened in your relationship, your ex left because they were too stressed and unhappy with you. So naturally, now they feel a profound sense of relief. The pressure's off, they don't have to deal with your issues anymore, your demands maybe, your expectations, none of that. And this relief can trigger some unexpected behaviors. Your typically reserved ex might suddenly become the life of every party, hopping from one sweaty orgy to the next. Your wild, unpredictable ex might suddenly double down on career goals and personal development or spirituality, and they might become like way more calm and mature. And it's likely that they're finally free to be whoever they want to be, and that's why they evolve like this. That is, without you in the picture, stopping them or just somehow frustrating them along this process of, evolution, of personal transformation. And generally speaking, the more outlandish and unexpected your ex's post-breakup behavior is, the more relieved they probably are about ending the relationship, which means Dumper's remorse is still a distant possibility. And let's be real, it's not necessarily that your ex wanted to break up with you, they probably just felt like they needed to, especially if they have an avoidant attachment style where independence and freedom are like oxygen, and while intimacy and closeness feel like sticking a dick in a light socket. Now let's move on to stage 3, the elation stage. That is the stage where your ex is feeling this feeling of being free at last. So your ex is happy, genuinely happy, that is, about their newfound freedom. Like they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, with whomever they want, without any consequences or explanations in relation to you, right? And if you are controlling or obsessive, well, guess what? Their relation will be even more intense, and they will likely engage in even more new experiences to make up for lost time. They might explore new venues that they've never been interested in before. They might date people from completely different social circles. They might experiment with radical new hairstyles or clothing, try out unusual hobbies you maybe even never heard of. They're essentially rediscovering who they are without you in the picture. That's what this stage entails. Some experts consider this stage and the relief stage to kind of be one and the same, just a quick heads up. And frankly, I don't give a shit what you call it. The behavior is consistent. Your ex is finding themselves again, and you need to stay the fuck out of their way. But here's where I need you to be realistic. These behaviors don't necessarily mean your ex is having the time of their life, nor do they mean that they are secretly suffering and missing you terribly. The truth usually lies somewhere in between, somewhere in the middle. They might feel at peace, but simultaneously maybe they still harbor some degree of affection, or at least nostalgia for what you had. Now this is where things get interesting. Let's move on to the 4th stage, the comparison stage. The one that comes after the elation fades. This is where your ex is gonna start comparing you with their dates and their flings, their one-night stands or whatnot. And as a result, they might start showing signs of interest again, like checking your social media, maybe blocking and unblocking you, thinking more about you in general, and they might even revisit places because of this, places that you frequented as a couple, partly to reminisce, partly to grieve. Now why? Because they're getting curious. And if you've given them enough space away from you to grow curious, enough space for this separation anxiety feeling to develop, so instead of texting them or asking for closure or another chance, you've literally just stood your ground and you were quiet and you minded your own business and you worked on yourself. If any of that is the case, they will eventually become more realistic about your relationship. They will start to recognize where they went wrong, where you went wrong, and slowly lose some of their anger and maybe resentment towards you. For instance, your ex might think, sure, my ex was clingy as hell when we were together, but they were also understanding when I needed space. Maybe I shouldn't be so bitter. Or maybe your ex thinks along the lines of, my ex did become insufferable when they were stressed, but they were also the only person who truly supported my dreams. And after a bunch of thoughts like this, and really getting real with the state of the relationship, how it was, and how it could be perhaps even, then comes stage 5, the nostalgia stage. Now, after your ex has compared you to the people they're dating and concluded that maybe you weren't as terrible as they initially thought, they might begin to feel nostalgic, meaning they start focusing less on the negative aspects of your relationship and way more on the positive. It's like a mild version of the pink glasses syndrome, if you heard about it, where everything about the past starts to look better than it actually was. And this nostalgia even leads them to feel more connected to you. After all, nostalgia is by definition an emotion that unifies and connects us to others. So your shared history, inside jokes, maybe your unique experiences, they all start to hold more weight in your ex's mind. Now, this nostalgia usually begins in short bursts late in the process, but if you've given your ex plenty of space, those bursts will eventually grow more persistent. And after even more space and even more time, they might propel your ex into the final stage of this whole thing, the regret stage. Now, this is it, the stage where dumper's remorse fully takes over your ex's mind, and it's only a matter of time before they build up enough courage to communicate their newly realized interest. Just please, don't expect them to jump straight into texting you stuff like, "I made a terrible mistake, please text me back." That's terrifying. Your ex doesn't know if you're still angry or disappointed with them, right? And they don't want to risk rejection and embarrassment. No one wants to risk that. So their attempts at reconnection will likely be far more nuanced and indirect, as in maybe a quick text along the lines of, "Hey, this movie reminded me of you," or just, "How's it going? Just wanted to check in on you," or, "Hey, do you remember the name of that restaurant that we went to for our first date?" Those kind of things, right? Learn to read between the lines. Your ex is making excuses to contact you without saying anything that is too emotionally vulnerable. And that's okay, that's fine. Don't hold a grudge over it. But here's where you need to pay attention. If your ex reaches out, you need to invite them on a date. Make the transition from texting to meeting up as quickly, but as naturally, as possible, because this will significantly increase your chances of getting back together. But that is a topic for another video. The thing is, now that you understand the stages, let's talk about what you should do, or more importantly, what you should not do as your ex progresses through them. The single worst mistake you can make during any of these stages is not giving your ex space. So you chase after them, whether through texts, calls, or showing up where they hang out. This will only make them more hostile and more bitter towards you, 9 times out of 10. Obviously, there are exceptions here, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to end horribly for you. And it will prevent them from ever reaching that final stage of regret. Because chasing subcommunicates, chasing of any form, that is, that you have nothing else going on in your life, nothing better going on in your life, that your entire existence revolves around this dead relationship. Nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to date someone like that. You also wouldn't want a partner whose life revolves around your relationship. You'd want them to have friends, hobbies, a purpose, a fucking life. You couldn't respect probably someone without these things. And that's precisely your ex's dilemma when you keep chasing. The more you chase, the less they respect you. And if you go overboard, they might even start thinking that, "Hey, I'm having a blast dating all of these other new people, plus I have my ex whenever I want. Great, I can have my cake and eat it too." You don't want your ex to think this way. When their respect for you depletes completely, they're never gonna reach that final stage of regret. And as a result, reconciliation is going to become pretty much impossible. So please, let your ex come to you. Let them go through all of these stages, if they do go through them without your interference. Let them start to miss you without you trying to force them to start to miss you. Hey everybody, thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to go deeper into the process of getting back with an ex, you should download my free reattraction cheat sheet. It's a neat one-page resource that lays out a simple yet potent approach to mending a relationship, one rooted in raw authenticity that respects both your dignity and that of your ex. You can download this free resource by clicking the link in the description below this video. So that's it. Bye bye.